still the Dixie campus, it's Utah Tech, but it is the Dixie campus, and a lot's been done. And I know there's hard, there's still feelings on both sides, but it was hard. It was hard I've done a lot of hard things, and it's crazy, but they've been here in St. George, and that was one of the hard ones because a lot of people I admire and respect had differing views through that process. I
was talking to somebody in the Republican Party, and I won't say exactly who it was, but they mentioned that it seemed like just that name change fractured the community into two halves, right? Just that conversation between Dixie. So I can't imagine, being in the decisions, in the conversations, how difficult it was to navigate through that, because it was very polarizing, and their impression was that it really fractured the political structures within the local community, right? Where, this person fell on this side and this person fell on the other side. And now that seems to be this wedge issue that there hasn't been consensus, right? It didn't.
But I think we need to do better learning from both sides and realizing that we are more of a melting pot.
Yeah.
And if I talk to a lot of my non-LDS friends, there's a lot of perceptions that we can do better. Just even starting within our own faith, but then there's other things we can do even when we start talking about, race and just a lot of the other things that observations here that I've, again, had to formulate and learn and spend a lot of time trying to understand.
Yeah. And I think maintaining Dixie Rock up on the Sugarloaf, I had so it's the 435 podcast, and I wanted to call it the Sugarloaf podcast because it's very just Southern Utah, and thinking about, going from somebody not coming in, having no clue what that meant, but I think maintaining that, having it be in the Dixie campus, I think there's a lot of preservation that still was involved in the decision that kind of goes uncommented on when somebody's talking about how, they should never change the college, name from Dixie to.
But again, it's steeped in our heritage. You look at the temple, you look at the campus, you look at what happened here, and you look at the people that came and gave so much. I think we take so much for granted, and we don't understand the efforts that it entailed. So it's for me, I've loved learning about those pioneers. I love learning about their tenacity, their spirit.
Yeah, reading their journals and like the history and stuff.
It's amazing.
I was in the Santa Clara Library for hours, just curiosity, right? Not being from here and just trying to understand the community, especially as a real estate agent. I'm trying to, you have to be involved in the community. You have to understand the community on an underlying, because I could just be a real estate agent that just shows up and opens the door and then that be it. But taking from, when you mentioned this, taking from Jeremy Larkin, who's born and raised here, and understanding the community takes effort and understanding, but it's cool how the pioneers left so much of their history for us to go over, but it's very fascinating.
Well, it's even in my own family tree, I have a grandmother who was LDS who became a non-practicing LDS. My whole family's converts, including her. She came back into the faith and then converted a non-convert grandfather. But we're tied to people that even came here. I mean, so I have ancestors that actually came here. Yeah. Just 2 generations removed. I mean, or two very, very close when you look at the family tree that actually came and settled this area. And so it's amazing to read their histories and learn from them and who they are. But perhaps that's one of the reasons why I had to go study it out, was to learn from them. Well,
and that goes back to this because I don't want to lose the heritage of the town, right? A big part of why, we moved here out of opportunity. My parents had a second home here, and we moved here to get out of Southern California because we knew we didn't want to raise a family there. We knew that there was life outside of this metropolitan where I'm just a number. And moving here, it felt like the perfect place to raise a family. And it's because of all these, this family oriented community, and we don't want to lose that. And so as we grow, not losing that, but that kind of takes me back to why, when I was thinking about who I wanted to have on and talking to, it's your passion around teaching and educating. it ends up being not everybody that comes in and works for Chick-fil-A, it's their first job, but I'm guessing a lot of them, it's either their first or second job, or they're just getting into what it is to work for a living, right, and make a paycheck. So you had mentioned to me at one point, you hire a younger kids that are in school that almost as like a work release type program, and you kind of felt like it was almost like you have a fresh slate to teach the kids, a lot of these traits and things like that. And that was really impactful to me. And maybe walk me through the different programs that you've had in bringing, kids as their first job, from school into there. Do you have these specific work programs? What does it look like?
It's not specific. I think it's really more based on the individual.
Okay.
It is fun taking somebody that, it's their first work experience and creating an experience that hopefully molds and develops skills that will forever be a blessing to them in their life. I sold shoes at Nordstrom's as a young man, and in doing that, I learned how to take care of the customer. And Nordstrom's had this crazy story of an old lady bringing tires back, and returning it and getting a full refund. And of course, Nordstrom doesn't sell tires, but at the same time, that's customer service. And it actually helped me throughout the entirety of my career. I know
a lot of people that one of their first jobs was Nordstrom's, and it legitimately, when it comes to hospitality and like what is a service industry, right? Because we think food, but it's a service industry, right? And this hospitality, and I say this all the time with real estate agents. The best real estate agents are former teachers, or they worked in the food service industry, where they had to make a quick connection with a table, be able to anticipate their needs, and all these skill sets that you really don't learn in a whole lot of other jobs. You definitely have to, it's a skill set that's on the job training, really. You can talk about it all day long, but Nordstrom's has been a pioneer and a leader in that industry for a long time. So that's interesting. That's where you picked that up from.
And so it's the same idea of, can I teach them how to serve others? Can I help them learn how to put others' needs before their own, but then learn how to recognize those and learn how to give of themselves. And so, we don't, if you look at the demographic, we have a lot of employees, probably 50% are, adults 18 and above, or 60%. It's right in that window, but then the rest are, sub 18. And so it's like, how do we work with these youth and teach them these skills and help them in this process? I used to be a lot more hands-on. I mean, you knew the guy they went out with that weekend, you knew how they're doing in school, you knew a lot of details. And it's unfortunate I don't have that same rapport, but my other leaders do. So I spend a lot more time developing leaders that care for them as I would.
Yeah.
And they're able to enjoy those relationships. Those are the things that really cause them to find a sense of belonging and being.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to be part of that and to allow that to enrich their lives, but then also for me to continue in that. I have a lot of daily interactions with individuals, and I love that. I love, they seek counsel, they seek advice, feedback. A lot of them, they're the first in their family doing certain things, from buying a house to buying a car, and I can't count the number of kids that I've helped, walk through, structuring, how to buy a home, and completing a rep C versus, or buying a car, or saving money, and I enjoy that. I enjoy helping them take these next steps in life just because they weren't taught those skills, by society.
Yeah. And I think, the earlier you get to the kids, I think the more open they are to that feedback. Right. They're more open to understanding, okay, especially hearing it from somebody that's not their parents. Right. I think they're going to hear it differently. I always say I have my kids really for 12 years, right? they're the natural, nurturing, they're listening to mom and dad. And as they get into that preteen age, all of a sudden they're like, I don't want to listen to mom and dad anymore. Now I'm looking at, mentors outside the community. And if you don't have teachers or a coach, right, having this business mentor, I think it's so powerful, man. I think it's so cool that you do that. I think it's really important.